Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today it is Sunday, which means a new video, and we are doing a what if today. And I'm just warning you, it's a very long one. I've got 4 pages of what would happen. So I recommend you get a snack. I have some Skittles, and I'm also currently cooking some hash browns, and I'm gonna have some hash browns and beans. I'm also expecting a call from my estate agent to sort stuff out, because me and Jacob are actually moving flats in 2 weeks. Well, we can move in from 2 weeks time, but then obviously we need to get everything ready and furniture bought and stuff. So within the next 2 weeks I'm going to start moving and stuff. So yeah, that's all very exciting. This room won't be my room for much longer. So yeah, I have a timer for my food. I'm expecting a phone call. Yeah, lots of things happening, but hopefully it won't be too disruptive. My Skittles just fell over. But anyway, this video is what if TNS East and TNS West did not merge. And the thing is, they would have to eventually merge because we need to have an A-Troupe. So it's more like, what if TNS East didn't merge when they did and the storyline went differently. So it's like my take on what I would have done instead in order to get TNS East and West to merge. So my plot continues from episode 13 of season 5, which was called Civil War. So everything before that happens exactly the same. So the regionals qualifier video would be cancelled still, and Kate would tell everybody that they really need to rethink the structure of A-Troupe in order to become successful. She'd want both troupes to become equally as versatile because she doesn't think it's working that they're only specifically focusing on one style. So what she'd do is call Alden back in, because obviously he can do both hip-hop and contemporary, which we know because he did that already for both teams. He'd come in and she'd say they're all going to do an intensive day of both styles with him, and that would make Daniel and West quite jealous and a little bit hurt that she's just overlooking them completely, especially Daniel, because obviously him and Eldon had that rivalry back in season 2. So in the episode where Eldon comes back, he would pair up all of the dancers with somebody from TNS East and TNS West. So TNS East would partner with someone from TNS West, yes, like that. So Amy and Piper would be together. Amy would help Piper with her acro, and Piper would help Amy with her hip hop. Richelle and Noah would be together, and they'd recall when they were paired up in season 3. Ultimately, Noah would put Richelle through a really intense workout to build up her strength, and Richelle would help Noah with his flexibility. Jacquie and Henry would go together, and I had a really cute idea that Henry could teach Jacquie how to do that jumping handstand she does in season 6, and Jacquie would help Henry with his technique. Josh and Heather would go together, and they'd equally try and help each other both loosen up and become more serious when it comes to dance. Zara and Ozzy would go together, the same as Josh and Heather. So they'd go as a 4, I was thinking, and they'd work together as a little group. Then Kingston and Lola would go together because they had a little friendship thing, and Lola would really want to learn some cool tricks, so Kingston would help her with that, and Lola would teach Kingston and help him like with his technique and his flexibility and things like that. I figured that Richelle and Noah could come in just as they're helping each other, or they'd look at them out the corner of their eye and then notice they're doing the same thing, and that would solidify Lola and Richelle's friendship because they'd realise they're quite similar in what they're helping their partners with. So each pair would better themselves somehow. I figured though that obviously because they're not going to regionals, they're not doing a regionals video, Jacquie would still get approached by Skylar to join Gemini, and Amy's mom would still get her the audition for Gemini. Josh would also figure that there's no point staying around if he's not going to get anywhere, so he would decide to leave with his brother and move away with his family. So the next episode, Kate would hold a mentoring session with Emily and Michelle, the same way that they did it in the office when Ozzy locked them in, but it would literally be organised, and Kate would want to get to the bottom of their issues. While that's happening, only Richelle and Noah would be attending in the studio. Everyone would be off because they're not doing anything that's worthwhile, so they wouldn't have been called in. They don't have a class, they don't have a rehearsal. Maybe Jacquie, but it would just be Noah and Richelle for this episode. So Emily and Michelle's mentoring sessions, instead of them bringing thoughts and feelings to light, they'd instead be asking Kate for the truth on different situations. So Michelle would probably ask Kate, oh, did you just hand everything to me? Emily would ask her, oh, did you always prefer Michelle? Things like that, and we get to the bottom of some issues that they've had in the past. And I figured that because they obviously don't have an end goal, Noah and Richelle would both agree to try and find better opportunities for themselves and strive for things more than A-Troupe. So that episode would end, and Michelle and Emily basically aren't any better in their relationship, and both Noah and Michelle want better things for themselves. The episode after that would have a few A-Troopers in it, because still people don't see the point in coming if they're not working towards anything. Kate would, however, come in and explain to everyone, and Emily and Michelle, that Zara and Josh have both permanently left They are no longer at the next step. They're no longer on A-Troupe or anything like that. Zara wants to focus on school, and Josh has obviously moved away. Jacquie still hasn't heard back from Gemini about their auditions, so for now she's still there. So West would be scheduled to lead a class that day in hip hop, but obviously there's only a few people there, so he's not the happiest. Amy wouldn't be there because her mum doesn't think that it's a reputable style of dance and she doesn't want to pay for it. Also, they're still waiting to hear back about Amy's Gemini audition, and Amy feels as if she'd be betraying TNS by going back and leading them on. Both Noah and Richelle wouldn't be in class either, which everyone would find strange, but it's because they're off finding opportunities, like they said. They just haven't told anyone because they don't want to get that idea in their heads if it's not going to work out. Heather also hasn't turned up because we know from season 5 she's not interested in being a hip-hop dancer. She just wants to be contemporary, and if they're not working towards anything, she doesn't feel like she has to brush up on those skills.
If you work on your hip-hop, you'll be even better.
I'm a contemporary dancer. I honestly don't care that much about my hip-hop.
But you are showing so much progress, and if we just keep working, I mean, you're better, you're great at...
So West would teach anyway, and a lot of the A-Troopers that are there actually think the class is very beneficial because they see the value in learning their skills and brushing up on everything, not just working towards a competition all the time.
Well, I'm going to practice.
Practice what?
Dance? Isn't that why we're all here?
It was until Miss Kate canceled the regionals.
Come on, guys. I know it's canceled, but that won't stop me from improving as a dancer. And seriously, it shouldn't stop you guys either. I came to the next step because I want to become a better dancer, and I'm not giving up on that.
But the other half would still be really competitive and just want something to work for. So at the end of West's class, Noah and Richelle would come in, they'd see West and they'd apologise to him for not attending, but then Kate would call them into the office and want an explanation. So both Noah and Richelle would tell her, we are looking for more opportunities, we're not sure we want to just be A-Troupe dancers anymore if we're not working towards something. But Kate would tell them, if you're looking for opportunities outside of A-Troupe, then you need to move down to B-Troupe and be considered recreational dancers. You can't say you're fully dedicated and stay on A-Troupe if you're not fully dedicated. So that would be a big cliffhanger at the end of the episode. So the next episode, Noah and Richelle aren't in class again, and neither are Emily and Michelle. The only people there are Amy, Piper, Ozzy, Kingston, Jacquie, Lola and Henry, with West as their teacher. So Kate would come in and tell them all that she has temporarily dismissed Emily and Michelle for the foreseeable future. She doesn't have a role for them at the moment because she wants to take back charge, so she just let them go. She'd also notice Noah and Richelle aren't in the room anymore, and she'd whisper something to West. So all the A-Troopers would be like, well, where are they? And Jacquie would say, they're at an audition today and they're no longer on A-Troupe, they've moved down to B-Troupe, which is a big thing. Oh my gosh, they've moved down to B-Troupe. And I know some of you are probably thinking, oh, Richelle would never move to B-Troupe, but she is technically leaving A-Troupe in season 7 because she wants to go to Dance Mania, so they're no longer classed as competitive dancers. I think she really would leave if it meant that she'd get a better opportunity for herself than what she currently has. So West would then try and start the class, but Kingston would be like, well, why are we having to just take class if they're getting better opportunities for themselves? And everyone would agree. They'd be like, yeah, we should all be doing the same thing. West would get really stressed then because no one wants to work with him, and he would walk off into the office with Kate. Kingston would then get his camera out of his bag and he'd be like, guys, let's just film some stuff, we can submit it to different people and we'll see what we get. So he starts setting up his tripod and everything because he obviously has his YouTube channel, and starts filming everyone. But Lola is a bit nervous about it because obviously it's going against what the adults have said, so she stays on the sidelines. She doesn't want to be involved, and she'd kind of be torn because her best friend, who is Richelle, has now left A-Troupe. Her friends on A-Troupe are doing stuff she doesn't want to do, so she's very torn as to what she wants to do. Jacquie also wouldn't get involved either because she feels like, well, what's the point in trying to get an opportunity if Noah and Richelle are literally getting them? So she'd walk out and she'd go into the office and she'd be like, Kate, West, I'm sorry, I'm going to go with Noah and Richelle. I'm going to get this opportunity as well, hopefully. And they can't really say no because there's nothing for them to work towards, and the kids are already rebelling and doing their own thing, and the studio is just out of control really. They just need to develop the structure again. So they're like, okay, Jacquie, you go do that, whatever. So Jacquie goes and joins Noah and Richelle. So the next episode will be a week later. The studio is completely empty and Kate is alone in her office. She's really upset, she's really stressed, she's cancelled all of the rehearsals. There is no rehearsals. She's cancelled all the classes. She said no one can use the space for the whole week. She's just sat in her office in basically the dark watching Kingston's YouTube video of all of the dancers, and she's really upset because she's like, if someone sees this, they're gonna go. I'm gonna have no students left at the next step. We're gonna lose money. I'm gonna have to close the place down. She's a big mess. Richelle, Noah and Jacquie though would then come up to Miss Kate's office and they'd be like, would you be able to watch a trio that we did for the audition? We really like you to see it. We could then maybe work on it with you. And Kate wants some dance back in the studio, so she's like, yeah, sure. They go down to Studio 1 because obviously they're B troopers now, but she's like, no, stay in Studio A, this is where you belong. So they do their trio in Studio A. They'd say in their talking heads that they didn't get anything from the audition, they didn't get any roles, but they really valued the experience, and it was good to see that there is still lots of things that they have to personally work on and develop. Because of that, Jacquie would say she's denied her place at Gemini because although they're on the road to regionals, TNS feels like her home, and spending time developing as a dancer wouldn't do her any harm. They do the trio and Kate would get really, really emotional and she'd probably cry and they'd hug her, and then the white wall intro would begin. After the intro, we'd see everyone is in Studio A. All of the A-troopers, Michelle, Emily, West and Daniel are all there. Miss Kate's there. Josh wouldn't be there because he's moved. Zara would come in late as well. Even though she says she wants to focus on school, if obviously they're going to go to regionals or something, then she will try and balance the two. So she comes back as well. Kate would tell them that they're going to start completely from scratch. Everyone is going to have compulsory classes every day that they are scheduled to come in, and she is making one A-Troupe. So instead of Piper and Amy being the ones that bring TNS East and West together, it's literally Kate, who is their authority figure. She is an adult, she's taking charge, and she is doing what the next step needed in that season. My hash browns are cooked, so I am going to go get those and then I will continue. So as well as saying she's making one complete troupe, Kate is going to be the studio head, which obviously has everyone looking around and they know Emily and Michelle are clearly dismissed for good. Emily and Michelle would be there though, and they'd obviously question it, but Kate tells them, I can't trust you right now. It's my building, my studio, I'm gonna look after it. You guys, well, she'd tell them, Michelle, you're gonna help with the choreography on A-Troupe, and Emily, you're gonna be an assistant studio head to me, so all the jobs that I don't have time to do, you can do them. So it's kind of like they get their jobs back, but not in full capacity. She'd ask Daniel and West as well if they can come back as tutors and teachers, because she does value them a lot, and she doesn't want them to just be pushed to the side because of Emily and Michelle's mistakes. So they reluctantly agreed to come back, even though they had a major amount of stress with all the dancers leaving and not listening to them and everything. But they agreed to come back, and Kate thinks it's a really, really good idea and it's all going to go smooth. It's obviously not though, because it's the next step. So like I said, there are going to be compulsory technique classes every time there is an A-Troupe rehearsal, led by either Michelle, Daniel or West. Kate would also then ask Noah and Richelle, because they're both in the room, and she'd say that she wants them to be the co-captains of A-Troupe. It'd be based on the fact that Noah and Richelle remotivated her and showed that they're passionate about dance, even if it meant trying to leave and get themselves opportunities not at the next step. They're also the dancers that have been at the studio the longest, and she really trusts them. Obviously, Richelle would be elated at that, like even the idea of being a co-captain is fine with her. She wants to be dance captain, that's her goal. They both agree, they think it's an excellent idea. But obviously, because Piper used to be the captain of TNS West and Richelle was captain of TNS East, Piper would kind of be a bit sad about it, but she'd totally understand, and she thinks it's a great idea. She really respects Richelle and Noah, so she's perfectly fine with it. You know, she's mature, and it would kind of encourage her to try and make her mark as a dancer rather than being dance captain.
Maybe I just need to figure out where I fit on the team.
Obviously in season 5, Amy was very wary of what her mother thought of her, and she always wanted to make sure she was being the best dancer and doing the best possible thing. So Amy would ask Kate in front of everyone, what are they going to be working towards now that they're not doing regionals and whatever, and Kate would stop her there and say, we are doing regionals, which would have everyone confused, but Kate is adamant to make regionals a success. She's adamant to take the next step to victory, and she says it will happen, we just need to work hard. Obviously, Amy would then decide to stay at TNS, even though she was accepted at Gemini. She'd also then ask Kingston if he wanted to help her with the production of their regionals entry video, because obviously he's a YouTuber, he works with cameras a lot, and I think that would just be a really nice tie into why Kingston had his off season on YouTube, why he came into season 5 being a YouTuber and a self-taught dancer. It would just be really nice to tie it all up with Kingston having this great opportunity from Miss Kate to direct and to edit, maybe to produce the regionals video for them. So Kate would then set them all on task. She'd say that Noah and Michelle are going to lead the warm-up. She'd tell them their song for the regionals qualifier video is Can't Stop the Fire. Yeah, Can't Stop the Fire. They would then start choreographing as soon as the warm-up's done, and they'd split it into a contemporary section and a hip-hop section. Richelle would take the contemporary section with Lola, Heather and Amy, and then Noah would work on the hip-hop section with everybody else. Kate would then take Daniel, West, Emily and Michelle to her office and leave the dancers alone to get on with what they're doing. In the office, Kate would tell them obviously all the plans that they need to do. She'd say about bringing Daniel, West and Michelle back as choreographers and teachers, and Emily to help her. And after a few scenes of rehearsals and whatever, and you can think of some like drama to go on behind the scenes, like the dancers talking, they'd show the two sections, put them together to the song. Kate and the other adults would watch, and Kate would tell Michelle and Emily it's that easy, and she'd walk out pretty proud of herself, and everything seems to be on track. So the episodes that follow from that, I figured that Kingston and Ozzy can still have that scene in the plot where they're looking for a location and Ozzy gets it wrong and everything, because that's perfectly fine. Noah and Jacquie can still have disagreements about something. I figured that it would be because of Noah's control still, because obviously now he's dance captain, and Richelle is also dance captain, and Jacquie went to the audition too, but she hasn't been made dance captain. When West, I think, chooses Zara to be the soloist in the video, Richelle would get even more upset about that because she's meant to be dance captain, so she figured it would just be an easy win for her. And also Richelle's hip would still continue to worsen, and she'd still try to hide it, but even more so because she's dance captain. She doesn't want to have that taken away from her just because she's injured, so she's hiding it, she's pretending it's absolutely fine. And because now she's leading more rehearsals because she's dance captain, it's getting worse and worse and worse. Josh has obviously left, so Piper wouldn't have the crush on him. So instead of that, I figured Piper's little plot could be that now she's not dance captain, she really wants to make her mark as a dancer. So she's training really, really hard in Noah and Richelle's sessions. She's taking all of West, Daniel and Michelle's classes and really getting good as a dancer. She's very versatile now. And I figured that would really nicely tie into her downfall in season 6, because obviously she's going to build herself so high in this season, only to be brought down by Miss Angela purely because she can't do acro. Richelle's scenes with Lola would all be the same regarding her hip, but instead of Heather being the one to tell Michelle that she thinks Lola's injured because Lola told her Richelle is basically injured, it would be Piper, because Lola confides in Piper about Richelle. So Piper would tell Emily, this is so confusing, Piper would tell Emily that she thinks Lola is injured. So then Emily would call Lola in and say you're off the dance because she really wants to make Miss Kate proud of her and make the right decisions. But then Lola would obviously say it's not me, it's Richelle. Because Emily and Richelle have this big they had a relationship, Emily would be like, well, I can't take Richelle off the dance, I've loved her for so long, she's just got dance captain, and so she's in this moral dilemma of what to do. But Piper would overhear this as well, because obviously Piper thought it was only Lola that was injured. Now she knows it's Richelle, and she's trying to be the best dancer she could possibly be. She sees an opportunity to get that solo from Richelle, which might seem a bit sneaky for Piper to do, but because she doesn't have dance captain anymore and she's really trying to make her mark, she knows Richelle's injured and she'd want to do the best for Richelle by getting her off the dance. She'd just see it as an opportunity to then take her place. It wouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to take Richelle's place. It'd be more like, I can look out for Richelle here and it'll be okay because I can take the place and dance so that other dancers won't suffer. Emily wouldn't take her off the dance for now though, so Lola does then have to get to the extreme, and I figured instead of snapping the shank of her point shoes, she'd throw them away, because obviously point shoes are expensive and they're tailor-made to each dancer's foot. And snapping the shank I felt like was a bit easy, because you can't just, like, I'll show you, snapping it, like you'd have to snap it pretty hard. Yeah, like I can't do that, and Lola literally just went like she just snapped it, and these are rock solid. So I don't think I'd have Lola snap them. Instead I'd have her just throw them away because they're literally expensive. And then the final episode of the season would still be Point of No Return as the title, but Piper would be pestering Richelle about her injury now that she knows about it, instead of the whole Josh scenario, to the point where Richelle would get super defensive and she'd be like, Piper, get over it, you're not dance captain, you can't police people, you can't get into their business. She'd admit she's fine, she'd probably do an illusion to prove it, but it would hurt her hip and she'd wince, and then Piper's like, see, I knew it, you were injured. And Richelle would go off, and then she realises her shoes are missing, so she'd immediately blame Piper instead of Zara. So Richelle would think that it's Piper who's thrown away her shoes, and because they just had that argument and she knows that Piper wants to take her spot in the dance, and Piper obviously can do ballet on point because she went against Amy for the battle of where to host the dance battle. Richelle would take Piper's point shoes out of her bag, she'd try them on, they're the exact same size, they're fine, and she steals them. Noah and Jacquie's chemistry would still be an issue. It could still happen the same, because while in a mood, Richelle would probably tell something to Jacquie like, oh, me and Noah have more chemistry than you two do and you're meant to be a couple. Just something like off the cuff that she didn't really mean, but she's in a bad mood, so it's just not working. So there's still all this drama that's going on. I figured that Piper would tell Amy about Rochelle's injury because they've just had this big argument.
You have to promise not to say anything to anyone.
Of course.
And Amy would then notice that Piper's point shoes aren't in her bag anymore. I don't know, maybe she could be passing it to her or something. And Amy would tell her it's probably Richelle taking revenge. All the time while this is happening, every time we see Richelle on screen, Lola would also be like in the background of the shot trying to talk to her and stuff. She's trying to talk Richelle down from doing this solo in the video because she knows it's not going to go well, but she's just not getting through to her. So then the dancers go to the set of filming the video, and Piper would see that Richelle has her point shoes in her bag, but there wouldn't be time to confront her about it as they need to film these grungy scenes first before the part on point. Richelle and Piper's disliking for each other would really show in this part, and they'd probably be commended for their emotion without people realising it's actually real tension that they have. Then after, when they go to film the next section, Piper would notice that Richelle literally has her shoes on, so she'd call her out in front of everybody, and Kate would demand to know what's going on, forcing Richelle to admit to her injury because Lola would bring it up as well, and Kate takes Richelle off the dance. She's furious with Emily because Emily doesn't even seem too shocked, so she figures that she must have known about it already. I figured that maybe Piper could even push Richelle because she's so angry with her, and she could fall backwards because she's got these point shoes on. You can't really just walk around in point shoes, and she'd land on her hip and hurt it even more. So Kate's literally like, right, Richelle, you literally need to sit out now. You can't even dance, you can't walk anymore. Sit out. She'd be so angry, and Kate would need someone to take Richelle's solo, so she's like, Piper, you're gonna have to do it.
Let's do this.
So Richelle automatically thinks that this has all been as part of a bigger plan for Piper. Piper's kind of happy because she gets to do the solo, but she didn't want it to work out this way. She just wanted it to all work out for the best. Piper would literally, it would be so awkward. She'd literally have to ask Richelle for her shoes. Richelle would have to take them off, give them to Piper. She'd have to put them on, and then she'd see Piper learning her solo on stage. It would be so awkward and so like, oh, you could cut the tension with a knife. I figured that Emily could comfort Richelle because obviously Emily got injured in season 2 and she wasn't able to dance either. And because they've known each other since season 2, I just think we should have had a lot more Emily and Michelle scenes. So the video would be filmed, and Kate would then call Michelle, Emily, West and Daniel into her office when they all return. Richelle isn't anywhere to be seen, same as, because she's gone home or she's gone to the hospital, whatever. But Kate in the office would tell them that they're all dismissed. She thinks that because Emily knew, Michelle must have known, and because of that, Daniel and West must have known as well, and they basically didn't tell her because they wanted to keep their jobs because they were on such like thin ice, and they didn't want it. They knew that the last little thing could have tipped her over the edge and got them permanently fired. So she's like, right, I don't want any of you. She fires them all. They're all furious with Emily, but it would make sense because Daniel and West don't return in season 6 and there's no explanation for it. So that is my reasoning for where they went. So then I just have a little bit for season 6 because obviously we need to wrap up those plot holes. In season 6, Noah would say in the first episode that he has now been made the sole dance captain of A-Troupe. They don't know when Richelle's going to return. They don't know what her dancing is going to be like. And really, because Richelle lied and covered up her injury, Kate doesn't feel like she deserves it. Because obviously Kate dismissed Emily and Michelle as well, and she's got this new opportunity from the reality TV show, she'd want to find a new partner for the next episode so she could still bring in Angela and that stuff can still happen. When Richelle does return though, the scene in the locker room, I'd like to see her doing some hip exercises, just a bit of physio, and when Summer walks in, she can stop doing it automatically because she doesn't really know Summer. She's a newcomer. She doesn't want to present her weaknesses to her and make it easy. When she has the confrontation with Noah in the locker room after she just told everyone their weaknesses, she would tell Noah to give up the dance captaincy and give it to Lily to try and get her on their side, and Noah would be like, well, what are you talking about? Like, you would never do that. She'd then go to her locker and she'd get the dance captain diary out and she'd be like, I got this from Skylar. It's a dance captain diary. It's been at the next step for however many years. And Noah would be like, what are you talking about? Richelle would explain that she's doing exactly what Emily did in season 2 and she was dance captain because she thought it might work, and obviously it did work. So Noah then sees her in a new light and it's like, wow, okay, maybe you were a good dance captain after all. But Richelle would give him the book and tell him to keep it because he deserves to be dance captain more than she does, which like, on one hand, you could say that Richelle wouldn't do that because she's always wanted to be dance captain. But honestly, I feel like I would mature her a lot more than what she got on the show, to the point where she'd know Noah was the best fit. So she would give him the dance captain diary and be happy just being the best dancer she could possibly be. Because Noah's like her best friend as well. She'd be happy for Noah to take dance captaincy over her. I just feel like if it was anyone else, she wouldn't be happy. So when Piper returns after Miss Angela has left, Richelle wouldn't hug her. My lighting is going crazy. When she walks in on her in the locker room, they'd have a discussion about what happened when they filmed the qualifier video, and they'd sort out all of their issues from season 5. Richelle would want to start fresh, especially now that she's on a roll of being a better person after getting rid of Miss Angela. Before the line placements are announced, Emily and Michelle would say that Noah is now their sole dance captain, and Richelle would be perfectly alright with that, you know, because that's what she wanted anyway. She might have told them off screen that that's what she wanted, because she also thinks that this will give her the great opportunity to just be a great dancer on the team. She thinks she's got this frontline centre, she's going to be able to focus on that. She doesn't have to worry about her responsibilities as dance captain. She can really work on exercising her hip and getting back to her strength. But then she doesn't get put on the front line, does she? So it would hurt her even more that she just had her captaincy taken off her and she's not even a frontline dancer anymore. So she's like, what is this all been for?
I mean, I've always been front and center. I don't know what's going on.
It's like, it would make her go backwards, because it's like, well, what's the point anymore? So she turned back into this quite arrogant and immature girl. Can you say girl? She's not a woman. Girl, yeah. Who wants to kick Summer off the team because she's getting everything. It would just make a bit more sense to me, because we wanted to see the development in season 6, but it wasn't there. It would make sense because she's going in reverse because of what's happened to her. She'd also blame it probably on her injury, the same way that Daniel thought that Miss Kate's decisions all were because of Daniel's ankle not being strong enough, or at least her thinking that. Richelle would really blame it on her hip injury, and she might even blame Emily for not taking her off the dance, because now everyone thinks that she's a lot worse than she was. Well, than she could have been if Emily had taken her off before the bad stuff happened. So she kind of resent everybody. So yeah, then in Shakes and Ladders, when Piper and Finn have that scene discussing the line placements, Richelle would instead have a discussion with Piper about why she wants to be on the back all of a sudden. I figured that because Piper knows Richelle longer than she has known Finn, she might even confide in her why she wants the back line, that she's not ready to be at the front yet, she's a bit still anxious. But Piper can maybe say something like, oh, maybe middle line's better for you so you can work on your hip and stuff. But Richelle thinks her hip is perfectly fine now, so that would, like, well, I don't know, it would accelerate her emotions of trying to be the best dancer she can and prove to everyone she needs to be on that front line. So that would give her more ammunition, that's what I'm trying to say. Ammunition for everything she does in season 6 to try and get front and centre. And that would be after they've slammed their locker doors and seen Summer and everything. She'd then get a text telling her to go to the office, where Emily and Michelle obviously reprimand them. And then Finn would walk in and ask her the same question, why do you want to be on the back line? And Piper would say, mind your own beeswax, and walk off.
Mind your own beeswax. Just let it go.
So it's like we see a hint of Pin coming through, but it's not totally a main plot yet. And yeah, I think everything from them would happen the same, really. I can't think of any other plot holes. There probably are, because every time I do a what if video, someone thinks of a plot hole I haven't addressed. But that's absolutely fine. Leave them down below if you can think of anything. Also, let me know your thoughts and feelings on this storyline. I know this one's been a bit longer than usual, so I hope you had a snack, or your breakfast, or dinner, or whatever. I don't know. Like this video, comment down below, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you on Wednesday for a new video. Bye!